Welcome to the American Small Business League podcast. I am Bruce Torres, and with me is Michael Chiaradio, who is running as a Democrat for Congress in Mississippi's 3rd District. Before I share a little bit about you, Michael, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Bruce. It's an honor to be here. Mississippi is excited right now. We just broke the Republican supermajority on Tuesday. So some people didn't see it maybe in all the national news that went on, but we flipped some state Senate seats and some state House seats. So it's an exciting time. And the chairman of the state party texted me afterwards saying, "You're next." So we're going to flip this district. It's an exciting time, and it's an honor for me to be a part of it. And it's very nice to be on the show. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining me. Rather than me read a little bit about your bio, why don't you tell us what you would like us to know about you first, and then why you're running and what you'd like to accomplish?
Well, about me, I'm living on a farm now. I have a 25-acre farm. I worked on the Affordable Care Act, but really I joined for two reasons. There's one overarching reason. I think the country has some fundamental issues. I didn't see either party really addressing them in a way that I thought was objectively best. Let's just say it that way. Domestically here, we have an economy that's unsustainable, and you can define that a number of ways. And we're slowly losing our competitive position in the world also. So, and you can define that a number of ways. But on the more micro level, on my personal level, in 2024, when I went to vote, there was only one person on the ballot for this specific seat that I'm running for. And I thought that was a terrible thing. And it's not even a partisan thing, as you know, as a small business advocate. Why do we advocate for small business? Well, the word is competition. So we have a system of, I don't happen to love it always, but it's a system of political capitalism. And you need competition. You can't just have one party or one guy. And so anyway, it got me thinking. I always was interested in more the policy side of politics, so I thought maybe I would try to influence on the back end. But I just started to think about it, and I decided to launch a campaign for this seat. And I hope that I can impact some of those things. And I really do think the Democrats are very receptive. They really love my campaign. They love my energy. They love that I'm out here working. But a lot of Republicans do also, because they recognize the state is better when we have two good sides. You need that level of competition. On the economic side, you get the price and the quality better.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I can kind of achieve the political equivalent of that. So I'm working hard to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
My pleasure. I want to share a bit about your background just to get that on the table because I feel it's impressive, and then follow your lead into describing more specifically what are the major things you're running on to accomplish and to excite your district about you. You originally you were a college baseball. You pursued a college baseball career that took you to more than 40 states. You played in the inaugural season of what became the Empire Professional Baseball League, and you worked in operations for the league after retiring from the field. Then you launched several business ventures, and you went on to earn an MBA from Felician University, and you built a six-figure investment portfolio and spent nearly 4 years in leadership at Maximus Inc, a global government contractor that supports the Affordable Care Act. And now you're in Shubuta, Mississippi, and you
That's it.
own and
Yep.
operate a regenerative farm, and your campaign focuses on economic competitiveness, rural development, and intelligent public investment. Now, what are you telling your district you want to do for them?
Well, it's funny because the number one issue here is that voter apathy. So that it dominates what we're doing. It's a movement. Everybody's got something to do. That's kind of the number one message. It's remarkable. But when I talk to them about what I can do for them, I talk about what the idea of rural development. And so going back to what I said at the very beginning, we have an unsustainable economy here in the United States. Some people want to fix it with taxes. Some people want to fix it with spending cuts. I kind of have a different view. I want to fix it with investment. So we need to focus on that. Sustainability is a GDP growth that's being outpaced by debt growth. And so we can do things to drive GDP growth, and that should be the number one focus. Not that we don't try to do things around it, but what's the number one way to get high growth? Well, it's these pockets of underdevelopment all over the country, really. I've been to 45 states, so I do believe I can work with people from all over the country. That's going to be the job. And it just so happens that I live in a very, very, probably one of the most rural districts in the country. So for us, rural development gives you high growth. How do you might appreciate this? How do you get that to happen? Small business. You need small business you need a regulatory environment. So regulation, not just taxes and spending cuts, but regulation and participating in the economy in a way that can drive you forward. That comes with access to capital. And I don't want to say deregulation, but streamlined regulation. Some of these regulatory requirements are difficult. I mean, I don't want to knock the SBA. I think the spirit of it is fine, but I mean, when you have to get a certification and they send you to a third party to do it, that's probably not a clean, easy way to get a certification. And a lot of people, it hurts them and it slows people down. It takes time away from you running your business. And we need to streamline some of the regulation. We've regulated rural communities, not just in the farm sense. We think about it in farming, and it's very true in farming. We've regulated the small farmer right off the farm and other things, of course. But it can't just be the farm. It has to be the whole rural economy. Access to capital, you don't need to make someone jump through 10 hoops of fire to get even a seat at the table, and then you maybe hope that you get it in 90 days. It's a crazy thing that we have, too much bureaucracy. So we need to do some of these things intelligently, and that's my number one thing here. I do think, just to close it, I'm running for a federal seat. So with what the big beautiful bill has done, it's shifted these cost burdens onto, I would say, the people, but onto the people and onto the states. I think it should be the opposite. As we work to be sustainable, the federal government should lead that with what are hopefully intelligent investments. That would help us be more competitive on the world stage. So that's mainly when it's not just talking about voter turnout. That's probably the main thing that I talk about.
I want to ask you some questions as if I was, $1 million a minute political consultant. Okay. Uh, because I really love what I'm hearing and I love what you want. I love what you see and I love your diagnosis of the problem. So, have you run for office before?
No, never. This is my first political endeavor.
Yes, but yeah, I've got confidence in you because of your experience in those 45 states and also those details from your bio that I read, that you clearly, intelligent and personable and likable, which is everything anyone wants. And if I can't go there myself and vote on the laws, I want, someone like you to represent me because I feel like okay, now you could report to me what's really going on there and we could work together. This is me in the shoes of if I were in your district, which I'm not. Um, what
You can
is your
still donate to my campaign even though you're not in my district. Just saying.
well, now I love it. Exactly. That's
I'm a
bottom line.
politician now. Right, right.
Bottom line. Gotta say it. Tell us your website. I was about to say it. Tell us your website.
Michael A. Chiaradio.com, Michael. My middle initials, A as an apple. Last name it's easy to spell, Chia Radio,
Okay.
radio.com. And at the top right-hand corner, there's a donate button. Thank you.
And
I
what's
do
your
want to, sorry, but just to add, I mean, I worked for a big global government contractor also. So I kind of, even though I haven't been in government, I've interfaced with it quite closely. And most of the stuff people don't realize that. I mean, you probably know this, but almost all the work gets subcontracted out. The government doesn't do that much. I mean, in the actual nitty-gritty of operating. So I was in operations for a global government contractor. We did all kinds of stuff, but I specifically worked on the
Hmm.
Affordable Care Act. So I
Hmm.
mean, you just kind of get a feel for how the minutia works. How does government actually operate and execute? So I do understand that pretty well, even though I've never obviously worked in government. And I'm also very good at putting teams together. Sorry to jump in
No,
again. So
not at all.
you put a group around you. I've always been good at that, putting people in a position to creatively express themselves, and I tend to be pretty good at putting teams together. So I'll be needing to do that as a freshman. So I'm looking forward to it.
I've been a student and a lover of American history my whole life, especially the presidents, especially Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy.
Hmm.
And if I were to run for Congress today, not, the son of a rich family or groomed for it through Ivy League schools or backed by giant corporations, I would do one thing: go without sleep between now and election day in order to knock on the door, shake the hand of every voting age person in my district, introduce myself, tell them what I know about their problems, propose one or two solutions, look them in the eye, and say, can I have your vote? That is my conviction that that still could work for a newbie like me, maybe for you as well. What do you think about that strategy?
That's kind of what we're doing. I'm working 7 days a week on it. When I hang up with you, I'm going to get ready to drive. It's a tough district here, and I think that's why it's kind of fallen behind. It needs somebody like me who's willing to do the work. There are times that I spend 4 hours in the car to spend an hour with voters, and tonight I'm going to do that. I got 2 hours each way. I won't get home till late at night. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it. So anyway, there's an event in one of the far ends of my district, so I'm going to go to it, and the ground game is going to accelerate. I'm spending time, but I'm working 7 days a week, one way or the other. And I think this district is underinvested. You say that you think of dollars, but really it's time. Someone needs to build the infrastructure, and I think we're going to win. But I also
Okay.
believe that we're going to make this a lot closer than it's been. And
Okay.
even in a loss, we're gonna change the face of the district, and the next person that runs maybe wins. So
Well, here's
yeah.
here's I want to role play with you. So, talk to me as if, I'm the average voter in your district and you're introducing yourself. Well, why should I vote for you?
Well, yeah, I'm supposed to kind of like not contradict, what's the word, but like juxtapose myself against my opponent. My opponent he's in Washington D.C. He's literally there to take orders. He's a career politician. Even the Republican outlets here recognize that. He I call him mindless Michael Guest. That's his name because he mindlessly follows Trump, but he'll mindlessly follow anybody that writes him a check. He's not an independent thinker. And you can go through his voting record and see that, and his donors and see that. He's the opposite of what you need. You need someone like me who's an independent thinker, a problem solver who can address some of the actual economic issues. You see it with Mamdani, the mayor in New York City. It's a really interesting thing. I mean, we're kind of getting more. I don't want to call him extreme, or Trump extreme because people get upset. But our politics are a little bit more extreme, if you will. And it's people who are like, we have economic issues that are not getting solved. And whether it's the left, they'll slide to the left. Trump played into those same things, those same problems. And so, anyway, I find it interesting. And I do hope that I
All right.
can help with that. And
All
I can
right.
do it in a way that's good for the whole country. And it's also good for people in my district. So
I'm
that's what I'm
I'm
committed to.
I'm loving this, and putting my sales and marketing hat on, to grab someone's attention and excite them to do something like go learn about this at my website. You want to give them something that's an irresistible yes. Go to my website and look at this to see why you should vote for me. What's that unique selling proposition for you?
I don't know. That's a good question. I maybe should refine it down a little bit better. But my political consultants told me to do kind of more like what you did, just have like one issue, two issues, and make it like something that nobody can say no to, and then ask them for money. And that's the way to do it in politics now, I guess. But I kind of didn't do that. I put up a big issues page, and I'm not saying I can solve everything, but I just decided that if people want to scroll through, and the problem with that is as they look at your stuff, eventually, if you put up enough stuff, they're going to say, I don't know if he's right about that. And you risk, it's called risk. So I just didn't feel like, I don't like that. I feel like our political campaigns have been so empty and issueless. And that's both parties. They
That's
say,
it. Forgive my interruption.
no.
Um, no, I just encourage you 1,000% because Michael, the going without sleep, working 7 days a week between now and the election, you will win and you will get to Congress. It might not be next year. If and here's the challenge, your opportunity is to fall in love with the work, fall in love with these kind of conversations, fall in love with the constituent who cracks their door open 6 inches and says, what do you want? And you've got 4 seconds, 8 seconds You've even got about that much time on a video clip
Right. Maybe
or
less.
maybe less, or when someone asks you a question in an interview, to say something right there and then to just keep pulling them through it.
If I were to sum it up in one word, it is economy, it is affordability over time. Those are my main issues anyway. I do believe in the small business, the small farm here.
And I'm going to mention briefly, and then I'll email you the links to a book. It's by a historian named Anton Chaitkin. It's called Who We Are. It's in two volumes. He's writing the third volume right now. And it's a description of what you described at the top, investing in free Americans to innovate and start businesses and prosper through hard work by creating and selling value to each other. Okay.
Right.
And it's the history of the United States, those people and entrepreneurs and industrialists and politicians who supported those policies that created our greatest periods of prosperity and peace. And they've always been attacked and threatened and squashed by giant tyrannical money fascist interests of empire that wanted to maintain and extend the British Empire's model of economics, which is called globalism today, which is what's crushing us today. And the solution and the antidote is what you said, which is policies that provide the capital and other regulatory relief or laws that actually encourage people to innovate, start businesses, and work and thrive for themselves. And
Right.
if you become a student of that and can share that, you will be empowered and motivated to campaign for the next 20 years until you finally win an election. God willing, it won't take 20
I
years.
was gonna say, I don't know if I got 20 in me, but
Well, well, lie and say you do, because
great.
then, I'll vote for the guy who's committed to this kind of empowerment for himself and his neighbors until they'll throw you into office. They won't want anybody else. Okay.
Well, the truth is we need it now. I mean, 20 years would be too long. We need we
Oh,
should have had it already, really, some of these
okay.
policies, right?
Well,
We need, I
yes.
mean, building from the bottom is like sounds cliche, but now 90%, the bottom half of the country is now like 90% of people. And we've choked out the bottom. So it's kind of it's time. The time is really now. So hopefully we
See,
can do it smart.
See, if you know that, you're really gonna resonate with the history and the message and the excitement, the hope that's in these books by Anton Chaitkin. Who We Are, America's Fight for Universal Progress, from Benjamin Franklin to John F. Kennedy. Okay, the rising tide raises all boats. The people who promoted the American system of economics, first conceived by Alexander Hamilton, wanted the American people to prosper and thrive and all other nations to prosper and thrive so that no nation could be a bully as an empire and invade and control and brutalize other nations to extract the wealth of their resources and keep them poor and keep them from industrializing. And it's a fascinating and exciting history.
Yeah. You're
That's
describing American foreign policy for the past 30 years or so, maybe more. Horrendous foreign policy. It's so true. I've read a lot of what the founders say. I'm a big Alexander Hamilton fan. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's so true. We need big changes. I mean, I see foreign policy as an extension of economic policy. So it's all like really intertwined. And we have not so good economic, and we're doing literally the opposite of what you just described in our relationships in the world. It's crazy. I hope I can help that. That's a tough one to turn around, but slowly maybe we could, make changes.
we will by educating ourselves and those whom
Yes,
we can, one conversation at a time, one podcast episode at a time, one
right.
Substack article at a time, one campaign appearance at a time. Otherwise, we have no hope. But reality is on our side. Oh boy, I could just do I could do such a huge metaphysical empowerment right here, which I offer to you in friendship after the show. I want to get back on
I was gonna say
to
the campaign might need to hire you. You're like,
Well,
I'm just
I'm in love with this stuff, and it feels like we're resonating with it, which is fantastic. All right. Small businesses, yay. Your rural community, yay. Here's what many folks don't know. We are a small business nation by this measure. There are 36 million small businesses in the United States, and they are 99.9% of all of our businesses, small businesses. And I'm not a fan of the SBA because they are supposed to represent small businesses and their interests, and they lie and pretend to do so. Specifically, 23% of the federal contract dollars are supposed to go to America's small businesses. Okay. And like you said, they contract out everything. The federal government is the largest purchaser of goods and services on the planet, between 800 billion and 1.5 trillion spent every single year, depending on your sources. Okay. Let's go with the low official number, 800 billion. 23% of that is around 264 billion, more or less. Okay. I've got the number confused in my head right now. That doesn't matter. And every year the SBA says, we gave 23%. We gave more than 23% to small businesses. How about a loan? They want you to just think about the loans. They don't want you to know, hey, I'm a small business. What contracts are available to me? How do I apply for those? It's very, very hard to do. It's very, very hard to find how to do that. 35 years ago, Lloyd Chapman, the man I work for, started suing the Pentagon, the SBA, NASA, the Department of Energy, just to find out who are these quote unquote small businesses that you say are getting the small business contracts. We won't tell you. We won't show you. $1 million lawsuits, years in court, finally redacted and documents, finally the revelation. What he has found in over 100 legal victories is that the vast majority of small business contracts go to the 0.1% of businesses that are big businesses. Really, every year, about maybe 3 or 4% of the federal contracts go to legitimate small businesses. The big businesses who get those contracts, they don't create one new job. They're already big. But, Michael, when small businesses actually get the contracts that they're supposed to, they will create millions of new jobs to do that work. Every community will feel the effects of that prosperity on top of the couple million jobs that America typically creates every single year. This is the scandal we're in the business of exposing. And along the lines of the big letter and the other things that we wrote you about the contracts to women and things like that. But I want to hear your thoughts about what I just shared with you.
well, in in one sense, I think you're correct, and that's really my idea of regulating some of the issues away rather than just taxing or cutting spending. And you can do things like that to facilitate for people at the I mean, I hate to say at the bottom, but like I said before, 90% of the people are at the bottom. But listening to you speak there, I couldn't help but think you're describing what is a two-tiered regulatory system and a two-tiered legal system, basically, in the United States. There's one for the rich and the powerful, and then there's one for the rest of us. And so it's not a good situation, and you need people who can go in there and facilitate for the good of the people. And the small business is the backbone. Like you said, it's the 99%. We have to have regulatory policy for small business, including, I mean, you say loans, you have to have favorable loans. It can't just be a bad loan where now we have like people in a position where they're carrying all kinds of burdensome debt, and we're an overly financialized economy anyway. I'm a big advocate of women in the workplace. If you look on our website, there's all those issues like I said before. But one of them is universal child care. If you click the button to read about it, most of that is to facilitate for mothers and women in the workplace. I don't want to sound sexist, but I think a lot of times in the modern workplace, the woman can really be better, and including in leadership roles. And now this administration, it's all, I feel like, I don't want to be too political about it, but sometimes they say things, it's like they're trying to put the woman back in the kitchen. I think that's no good. I think the women have demonstrated in most cases that there's a lot of merit in their ability to not just participate in the workforce, but to be leaders, take on leadership roles, and grow their career. Anyway, yes, I'm a big believer in the women in the workplace, and
Well,
And
I could clarify some things in there because we wrote you as we're reaching out to 1,600 candidates for the midterms next year to teach them this stuff, to excite them enough to, reply to us, and many are replying, and then we vet them, and then we invite on the show as many as that we can. Okay,
thank you
like
for inviting
yourself,
me.
because that, well, my pleasure, because we want to educate you to look at this and get convinced and road test it. See if this is an issue that resonates with your district. See if it helps you get elected. We're convinced that it will, because women are half the population, okay, at least, all right? They own 40% of all businesses in America. They sell what the government buys. The government buys everything. Okay. There's over 14 million businesses owned by women. They generate almost $3 trillion in revenue every year. They employ over 12 million people. But the law says they're supposed to get only 5% of federal contracts. How is that in any measure fair? And here's what's at stake. It's not only that unfairness, it's the fact that because women are economically not equals, they can't participate in politics as equals. Men earn and save more than women. That's why they can invest, they can donate more to politicians, so they've got more influence at that level. And they run for and win office more than women. 75% of all seats in the House, the Senate, all state legislatures, every president's cabinet held by men. Almost that many governor chairs. 90% of committee chair positions and party leadership positions, men. So women are doing well economically by other measures. They're getting more higher degrees than men. I think they're creating more businesses than men. Okay. But they need all the help they can get so that they become as economic equals as fast as possible so they can compete and run for office and participate in politics, because we need their humanity. We need their sensibilities. They're half the human race, for crying out loud. And that's what we think would resonate with voters around the country. No one else knows this. No one else is talking about this. This federal contracts that are supposed to go to small businesses that go to big businesses instead. That's the particular thing that we're in the business of educating everyone possible. We want not only people to run for office on these issues, but to hound Congress and the Senate right now every single day and say, raise from 5% to 15%. This is our Don't Cheat Women project, don'tcheatwomen.com.
I checked it out. Yes.
Thank you. Raise from 5 to 15% the federal contracts that should go to women-owned small businesses. That would push from 23 to 33% the contracts that are supposed to go to small businesses. Number two, make sure the SBA tells the truth about where those contracts go. Make them prove that small business contracts really went to small businesses. This is what's going to take as many members of Congress as possible to fight for. So that's on a silver platter to you, Michael, all that.
Well, I mean, you're preaching to the choir as far as wanting reform at the SBA. So I definitely am with you on that. The government, and not just federal, but also state, they subcontract out everything. So there really is a way to do it. I do believe the regulatory environment is the most critical thing. The head count, 2,000 people is not a small business. You think of a small business, you got six
Yep.
people running a mom and pop. Once you start to get to 200 people, if you show up to work there, you're not going to think of that as a small business just being an employee.
Right.
So once you get into the thousands, it's like the two-tiered regulatory system. And really, our people aren't that involved in the process. We have a political system, I called it at the beginning, of political capitalism. That was me being nice. The real system is it's a system of legalized bribery. So I mean, these people, not only do they give you money, for me, I say, well, hey, look, Bruce, I have an idea. It's a good idea. You say, okay, that's nice. The next guy comes in and he says, hey, Bruce, I got an idea. It's pretty good, but I got $10,000 if you do the idea. So that's how our system works. What do you think you're going to do? I say, hey, Bruce, maybe 100 people would be the best limit. Or somebody with a $10,000 check or more in some cases comes in and says, well, I actually think it should be this figure.
Right.
I'm not saying people are evil for succumbing to that, but that's the system. And you get issues like that. So there's plenty of things that we need to look at systemically also.
Yeah.
Changing them is probably going to be burdensome. But it's absolutely true. And it goes back to I really do push back on the idea that we fix everything with by increasing taxes or by cutting spending. We need to operate better. We need to have better regulation, and we need to conduct ourselves with better economic policy. That's the got to be the focus. So I think some of
Yep.
these things are exactly how to do it.
Yeah, and it takes massive courage. It takes the kind of courage that can confront forces that kill to win. Okay, and that's why John F.
I
Kennedy
didn't want to say
is.
it out loud. Yeah, it's true.
Well, unfortunately, that's true because that's how corrupt it is. That's how
Yeah,
phony it is that the federal government does anything for small businesses. Okay, whenever they talk about small businesses, they talk about the SBA and the loans. Oh, and the shutdown, it's hurting all the businesses that are getting loans. And you would think, oh my God, the government, is supporting so much of our economy and so many of our small businesses with the loans that are having problems now because of the shutdown. It's all show business nonsense. Here's
yeah,
why: the percentage of small businesses that get SBA backed loans is around 0.2%,
that's
around
funny.
80,000, 100,000. That's it. The percentage of small businesses that get contracts is also around 0.2%, around 80,000 out of 36 million. And when you look at the North American industrial classification codes of the industries, the goods and services that the federal government buys, 90% of our 36 million small businesses are in those industries. That means 32 million businesses could apply for federal contracts. It's not easy to learn how to do that. It's not easy to learn what contracts are available. And there's a reason they don't. The big businesses that have captured Washington, D.C. for at least 70 years, since Eisenhower warned us about the military industrial complex in
Right,
1961,
right.
own and control Washington, D.C. The contractors at the different federal agencies give small business contracts to the giant corporations because very often when they leave work for the government, they take a job at those businesses who gladly hire them because I steered contracts to you. And then a new administration comes in and they recruit from those giant corporations into positions of power in Washington. So there's a revolving door there. It's a money go round right there. So the kind of courage it would take, Michael, for you to run on this, it would resonate, I believe, with the American people who want honesty and transparency from their representatives.
Well, that's the opposite of what you're getting from the current person that's representing us here. Our person here, he shows up to those people, those forces that you just described. Mindless Michael Guest, he shows up to salute and mindlessly follow whatever they tell him to do. You're never going to solve those problems with Michael Guest or people like Michael Guest. He's a career
Yeah.
politician who's looking to. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative on your show, but you need somebody like me that will push back on that and will look to intelligently. You don't have to.
All right.
See, here's the thing I think also. We don't necessarily need to kill the big business. The big business should do fine. Everybody should do okay. Win-win. We've seen with the Trump administration the idea of tariffs, one person winning, one person losing. This isn't objectively best. So you still want people to do well, but you can't leave people behind either. And we need to work better for the people at the bottom. And I'm someone who can do that. Guest is showing up to give the talking points, read the few things they tell him to read, say what they tell him to say, and take orders. Yes, sir. He's there to be a yes man. He's not the type of person that we need. And I'm
Yeah.
someone who you should send to Washington, D.C. Thank you for letting me say that.
Every time you open your mouth, you could tell your district, if he gets in again, this is what it's going to cost us. This is what little he's done for us, and here's our opportunities. Here's our problems. But if you send me there, here are the top 3 to 4 things that I will pursue and get done. So that okay, that's a reason to put on some shoes on election day and go vote for Michael. And I would recommend you experiment with identifying those top 3 or 4 or 5 things, and you road test them, and you see which ones are the most muscularly effective, and because you got to brand yourself, and we have to know like, oh, Michael stands for this, that, and the other thing. That's it. And for all I know, it's on your website crystal clear because I looked at it yesterday long enough to say, oh, I like this guy. I'm going to invite him on the podcast. So, um,
Thank you for that again. I appreciate it.
you're most welcome. All right.
It's the picture with my dogs probably that hooked you, right?
No, you know what it
I'm
is? It
kidding.
was you're outside. It's the shot on the homepage, I think, or a little bit down on the homepage. But then it's everything else because I did study and read. Not least of which is from you're from Jersey, yo, the homeland. So
Yeah, I was born in New Jersey. That's right. 5 minutes outside of New York City. I say it's how everyone should grow up. It was a melting pot of sorts, but we just didn't see race, religion. It just didn't matter. It's how it's part of why I wanted to get in politics too. It's kind of a back burner issue compared to some of the stuff we talk about. But I mean, I talk to my high school friends and I don't really keep in touch because I'm a bad friend. But when we do talk, we go around the rest of the country and it's like, wow, people are not, it's different in some parts of the country.
it,
I'll say it
it
that way.
it's such a wonderful melting pot, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And to be continued. All right, we got to wrap it up. What
Thank you. Thank
final
you.
what final thoughts, conclusions, reminders would you leave with us?
Well, I appreciate you saying that I'm smart and that I have good issues. In politics, it's a strange business. Nobody cares. I call the political people, the political establishment. They care about really two things, but one thing, they ask me, how much money have you raised? Number two, how many people have given you money? Even if it's not a big amount, please, you can donate to my campaign. Michael A. Chiaradio.com, Michael, A as an apple is the middle initial. The last name is easy to spell, Chia radio, radio.com, and check out my issues, check out my about me page. But there's a donate button. You click the donate button and then you reach your hand in your wallet, Bruce. I'm just kidding. But we got to build support how we can. There's one way to prove there's not two ways. There's only one way to prove viability. There's no other way. And it's with cash. So I appreciate anything you guys can do to help support my campaign. We're going to flip this district. We're working 7 days a week. Bruce, I appreciate your support and it was an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to talk after I stop the recording, but Michael Chiaradio, thank you very much for joining me, and I want to thank everybody for watching and listening today.